Live from the internet, this is the Crystal Chronicles, your Final Fantasy record keeper, official and unofficial podcast. This is, oh my god, episode 40. You heard this correctly, 40, recorded on November 23rd, 2016. My name is Pierre, and I am joined today by the one and only Mark Myers. Hey Mark, how are we doing tonight?
Hey Pierre, how you doing? Hey Twitchers, hey FFRK followers, record keepers, that's the word I was looking for. All of our devoted followers, hello and welcome to episode 40.
Oh my god, we did it!
Golden episode. That's not quite right.
No,
our silver episode.
Oh my god. You know what, looking back, 40 episodes. Wow. It's just crazy. Unfortunately, Ben is not with us tonight. You guys in America are getting dangerously close to Turkey Day, and last I heard from him, he was traveling around with family and stuff, so he couldn't make it.
Yes, it sounded like they were maybe having a nice family vacation in the midst of the Thanksgiving break that some collegiate institutions get. Not generally very long for a break, but usually get at least a weekend or maybe even a week, depending on the college or university that you attend. So he's with family.
Well, I guess Thanksgiving in America is really, really, really serious, because from what I heard, it's like around Thursday, it's the most traveled day of the entire year in terms of airports and stuff. Like, not even Christmas, New Year, and nothing else gets remotely close to it. So you guys take your Thanksgiving very seriously.
Yes, we meet once a year for our international viewers, and we gorge ourselves on food that we don't normally eat, nor do we enjoy actually eating or cooking. And then we watch football, and we argue, and we go home. And that is the celebration of some uptight English people bringing pox and disease to the Native Americans many, many years ago. So it all works out really good. So, yeah.
Never forget, always remember.
Never forget. They gave us corn, we gave them diphtheria.
Diseases. Sounds like fair trade to me.
Yeah, you know, we have these traditions, you know, like when I was growing up and when my parents were growing up here in the United States, where, you know, kids dress up as Indians. We don't supposed to say that, but, you know, and then some dress up as pilgrims and yeah, and I was pretty sure we were all past that, but my son, who's in kindergarten, who just started school, all-day school this year, he dressed up as a Native American, and other people dressed up as pilgrims. I think the first graders dressed up as pilgrims and invited the kindergartners who were dressed up as Native Americans to the feast. And I asked him if they tried to steal his land or rape his women, and he... Yeah, my wife doesn't appreciate my views on our holidays.
Twisted sense of humor.
Yeah, she doesn't appreciate my getting real with the kids when they're 5 and 4 and 2. So,
well, up here, most of it sometimes looks like most of your special holidays are a bit cliche. Like, you've got Turkey Day, you've got Let's Blow Everything Up with Firework Day, you've got...
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, classic American stuff.
We got a couple grill out days, Memorial Day, Labor Day. Those those are, you put stuff on a grill and you eat it. Yeah, most of our holidays revolve around eating food that's not good for you.
I could go on a limb here and say it looks like the general American type of style of life, but it would be beyond cliche and a bit of unrespectful, so I won't say that. So there you go. I didn't say it, but I was going somewhere with this and I totally forget. So squirrel.
But hopefully Ben is with his family.
Yeah,
and they
Ben.
Are having a good time. We will be getting together with both sides of the family tomorrow, so we will be traveling and eating and doing all of that.
You poor
tomorrow.
bastard! You just came back.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So it goes.
This is so sad.
So there's a game that we play.
Really? What is it?
I think it's called Final Fantasy Record Keeper.
Really? Is it cool?
No. Well, it's better than other games, but
yeah,
yes.
I tried like that Mobius crap, and once you're record keeper, you never look back.
We will get to the great debate. There is intrigue and drama in the Mobius community already. So you're gonna want to love to listen to our Mobius Minute today. Later in the show.
Before we get into the game, Marley just put me back on track where I was going with this. I was going to say I have no idea why, for some reason, Thanksgiving in Canada is like a month before Thanksgiving in America. I mean, usually your holidays will align, like Christmas, New Year, and all of that crap. And for some reason, like, we're super thankful to be giving a month before. So I never understood that part, and it always makes me confused. But luckily, we did import some good stuff, which is the Black Friday and Cyber Monday.
Oh, yeah, Cyber Monday.
Yeah, it's all around
Giving
now.
Tuesday or whatever we do now. So
no, I think it's give it back, turn it back to
your
the
life
store.
decisions and maybe try to support other people. Yes, yeah, there you go.
All right, but seriously, because I see the amount of Twitch viewers falling down crazily, so let's head back to the game. This is a Wednesday. Wednesday means two things. First off, we act like total goofballs on Twitch. And second of all, it means that the Fat Chocobos had some new items for you. So beyond your 1,000 green mitrils, there we go, that's what I was going to say, you've got your 3 major orbs of the week. And this week's feature is power, non-elemental, and wind. So if you are in need of these type of major orbs, well, they're kind of available to you for a week at the cost of 10,000 greens. So, but that's, kind of not super important compared to the next highlight and announcement. Multiplayer is here, and it's actually pretty good.
Yes, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on. Don't forget 3-star motes are refreshed today, too.
Yeah, well, they do it like it's the same motes every Wednesday, right?
No, they only refresh once a month.
Really, they do? Oh,
yeah,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The exchange ends on December 21st. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, they only update once a month. So get your motes while they're hot. Well, the getting's good. I always try to pick up all 20 of each of the 3-star motes.
Yeah,
and yes, multiplayer beta. So this is the test run, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Free stamina test run, but yeah, we'll get right back on that. But first of all, we promised we'd do it. We are super reliable folks, and by super reliable folks I mean Mark, and we've got your Affliction Nightmare Dungeon review right here and now. So for those who just started playing, Nightmare Dungeons are like super hard dungeons where you can get special kind of items called break records that allows you to make 6-star abilities, provided you have on an insane amount of 6-star materials to go with it. But basically, this Nightmare Dungeon gives you the 6-star support ability that does 2 single target physical attack, and it lowers the target debuff chance and moderate. Wait, what? It lowers target debuff chances. How does that work?
Yeah. So when your boss uses debuff powers, like any of the debuff powers, I guess, the special attacks, the debuffs, this lowers their chance. So when you use poison, right, you got a moderate chance to poison. So this reduces their chance to do similar debuffs by that amount. So
I see. So anything like, for example, sap and such would be affected by this.
Yeah, I don't.
Come on, you're not going to ruin my example here.
I don't know the actual list.
Okay.
I have to say that I don't actually have because it doesn't say all debuffs. It says
target debuffs.
Well, it says many of them. It doesn't say all of them.
All right.
And I have not seen a actual breakdown of what it does and what it doesn't lower. So I also don't hear anyone really talking about using it.
Yeah, and most 6-star abilities so far are not like super useful because they're almost impossible to
right
to hone. So
yeah, Axel Pritt on Twitch is saying blind poison, stuff like that. Right. Yeah, silence. It potentially breaks. I just don't know because it doesn't list, and I haven't seen it online anywhere, and I haven't looked in the files to see if it really says which statuses it does. So if that's something in the future, and I haven't heard anybody from Japan say, oh yeah, this is a great power that we all use, it would be very specific bosses, like, in the old Final Fantasies, the Marbros that have that bad breath that does all of those different status effects.
I hate them.
So it would have to be something like that where you're fighting somebody that does all kinds of status effects as opposed to the bosses we fight, which usually don't do any or might do one or two, so you can protect yourself against that with accessories. Yes, so yes, we get that. Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, and speaking of accessories, we've got the Crag Armlet, which is a 6-star major hurt resistance accessory. So that's not too shabby. And who gives that again? It's the it's not the Nightmare Battle. It's the
third or fourth one.
Yeah,
I can look here in a second. It's one of the. It's usually the one right before, right?
Yeah,
I'm loading into it here.
Okay, it's Venuskar, and by the looks of it,
12.
I would say it's a Final Fantasy 13 boss.
It's 12.
12? Oh.
Yep.
It looked 13-ish. It's got a dead head, I think.
I don't remember this particular boss in 12.
It's messed up. It looks like it has a dead head for an arm. There again, I didn't play 12.
Yeah, it might.
So.
I did. Fun. But yeah.
So, Mark, why don't you go ahead and walk us through the Nightmare Dungeon?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go through the other battles. If you're having trouble with the other battles, of course, come on Slack, and we have a global and a general, and you can message me or Derek or anybody else on there. Happy to help you out with some setups. Of course, go to FFRK Central, sync your account, and that's the easiest way for us to help you if we're trying to look and see what you have. So going right into the Nightmare Dungeon, which is super, super gimmicky. And all of your 5-star support heroes have synergy in this particular nightmare. You need at least one of each breakdown. So 1 armor, 1 mental, 1 power, 1 magic. So one of each of the breakdowns. You need the separate breakdown. So don't just bring somebody with a BSB that has double, magic and attack, resistance and defense. Don't bring full break. Bring the separate breakdowns, whether they're breakdown or break. I don't think that matters, but I brought one of each of the breakdowns on a support character. So one support character had both the armor and resistance, or no, one, I guess I did. One had attack and defense, one had resistance and magic. So make sure you're bringing all of those. You don't need to bring all support 5 characters, although I've seen people that did, but you really want at least 2 of them to bring those 4 abilities. Necrophobe has 3 phases, like previous Nightmare bosses that we fought, and it's best, just like those Nightmare bosses, not to get into the 3rd phase. Now, the first phase is a normal DPS check. You have 5 turns to bring him below 80% health, or he casts AoE death on the party, which is pretty bad. Right? I mean, it's like a 74% chance to kill your entire party. So that's, individually, but still, that's a pretty high death rate.
Yeah, Nightmare death.
Yeah, you can break him during this phase, so you can lower all of his stats. There you go. He counters black magic, white magic, and ninja magic, so you want to prefer to bring physical DPS. Phase 2 is where things get gimmicky and interesting, and I really like this fight a lot. I liked it much better than the previous one.
Just a quick thing. I see that he counters with Nightmare Hurricane, which has a 40% chance of inflicting instant death.
Yeah.
Is that like, does he counter any kind of attack, or?
That's the black magic, white magic, ninja magic.
Okay, so if you use those, you've got a 40% chance of dropping dead.
Don't use those. Yes, that's the lesson. Don't bring those things. He will use that Nightmare Hurricane.
And yeah, Nightmare Death just says inflicts the status ailment instant death to all opponents. So it looks like it's actually not a percent chance thing, but more of a you die thing.
Yeah, I did not ever make that happen, so be careful.
Pretty good strategy right there.
Yeah, don't make that happen, and ideally don't get into the third phase.
All right.
So phase 2 is where all the action happens. He summons 4 barriers that kind of look like little demon bugs. They're like little purpley demon bugs, okay? So he summons 4 of them. Each of them is targetable, and each one is surrounded by a color. From top left to bottom right, the colors are blue, red, green, and yellow, all right? The barriers have loads of HP, like 3 million HP. You're not supposed to kill them. They have the ability to cast Doom on a party member with a 20-second Doom timer. All right? So it can be removed by using the correct break on the barrier that cast it. The blue barrier is armor breakdown. The red barrier is attack breakdown, power breakdown. The green barrier is mental breakdown. The yellow barrier is magic breakdown. Blue armor, red attack, green resistance, yellow magic. All right? Each Doom timer actually, here's the kind of trick of it, each Doom timer reduces Necrophobe's defense and resistance and raises his attack and magic. So every Doom timer you have at once actually decreases his defensive powers and raises his attacking powers. So I'm assuming you're using physical, so let's look at the defense, all right? Let's just look at the defense stats. Phase 2 Necrophobe begins with over 9,000 defense. 9,000 defense. That's a lot of defense, in case you were ever looking at the stats of characters or villains that we fought, bosses that we fought in the past. 1 Doom timer brings that down to 4,200 defense. 2 Doom timers active brings it down to 2,300 defense. But this also increases his attack. He starts with 618 attack, 671 magic, with 5 Doom timers active. His attack would increase to 1,854, and his magic would increase to 2,013. So this is all about understanding how to keep the Doom timers active, not let your characters die, but also not to have too many or too few Doom timers. If you have zero Doom timers, you're not going to be able to do enough damage to him because his defense and resistance is so high. If you have too many Doom timers, his attack is going to be so high that your damage incoming is going to be too much for your character. So you have to kind of balance. I have found that having 2 or 3 Doom timers active was ideal. So every time one person gets low on their Doom timer, you use the correct break. Every time someone doesn't get it, then you kind of wait until there's another Doom timer. Having 2 to 3 kind of lowers his defense a good amount and doesn't make his attacks too powerful. If you do this correctly and balance those Doom timers right, you should not get into Phase 3, because Phase 3 is really bad. If you get into Phase 3, Phase 2 lasts 10 turns. At the end of 10 turns, the barriers disappear, and you move into the third phase. In the third phase, he casts Nightmare Flare, which does 650% non-elemental magic damage that ignores resistance. So basically, those heroes will die. If they get targeted by Nightmare Flare, they will die. So try not to get there. Magic Blink re-raise can help if you do, but ideally, you don't want to get there. You want to learn how to balance each of those ideas. So I didn't go over kind of how the mechanic works, I guess. So let me give you an example. So the red barrier, the little bug with red, casts Doom on Tyro. Tyro then will glow red. So you know it's the red bug that attacked him. Red is attack, so you will have a 20-second timer on Tyro, and it can be removed using the power breakdown or power break. Any ability that does that. So you remove the timer, then Tyro would be alive and wait till another. Yes, Trinity is sharing on Twitch right now. Nightmare Flare cannot be rune-nicked or Grand Cross absorbed. So there's not really a way to cheese that. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're kind of balancing those Doom timers and having 2 or 3 of them. My team, I brought 2 DPS characters, 2 breakers, and 1 healer. I had Sentinel Grimoire on Tyro, and I used Shout as my roaming warrior. Beatrix and Van were my DPS with their Super Soul Break and Burst Soul Break, respectively, as well as Saint's Cross and Thief's Revenge, respectively. Waka and Tyro were my breakers. Ego was my healer. And I actually didn't find it too hard. I didn't get into phase 3. I was able to do that. Even without synergy, my DPS was fine if I was willing to bring his defense low enough with having 2 actual Doom timers active, and sometimes 3. Wow. Although right before he died, I used Waka's BSB, which I hadn't used the entire fight, to just try to kill him, and of course that's random. So it hit all of the barriers with full break, and yeah. So then there was lots of Doom, and pretty crazy. So,
wow. It looks like a very interesting fight in terms of, like we're saying, very gimmicky, but very well thought.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Sorry. Well, all right. So, in terms of if you give it a score, I mean, compared to the other Nightmare Dungeons, would you say it's easier, harder, funnier, something?
Well, for me, it was definitely easier than Kurata, because I haven't finished Kurata yet because it annoys me too much.
That's a chicken fight?
Yeah. No. That's the cannon, the hot potato fight.
Oh.
Yeah, I just don't have the patience for it at all. So, and I even know the way to kind of cheese it, and I just...
Even there, you still...
It's just too frustrating. I just don't care. I'll do it at some point, but probably not till all the other ones are done. So.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was doable. I think that's the mechanic. Once you figured out the mechanic was good. I think it was an interesting fight. It was a well-developed fight. So.
Yeah. All right. So, with that out of the way, hopefully you guys have the information you need to take care of that Nightmare Dungeon. Always remember, if you do beat it, tweet me your successful pictures to FFRK Central on the Twitter or at the FFRK Central Facebook page. I'm always more than happy to share the information. It's always good to see some people beating those bosses. And with that said, let's move on to an event that actually tries to pretend it reintroduce someone that's always actually been available and quick in your party. And I am making a reference to Kain from Final Fantasy IV here with Reclaim the Skies. So, because like Kain is one of the very first...
Kain is one of the very first receivable heroes from the Realm dungeons.
See, he's actually... I went right back into it. You start with Tyro, Black Mage, White Mage. Yep, then you get Cloud. And then
Cloud.
Yeah, Cloud, and there right next, you can get Kain. So, for some reason, it's just funny that they titled this... this event, the Dragoon Kain returns, when he's actually always been there. He never left. But yeah, with that said, he brings with him his high heel boots.
Yeah, he's got fancy boots. His boots were made for walking. or jumping.
Well, I was going to say
in
jumping.
his case. Yeah.
Jumping boots. And these boots actually, it's an accessory, and it will give you, real quick, come on.
Plus 30 attack.
Well, there you go. Plus 30 attack, and that's all.
Or 45 synergy.
There you go. What am I even doing here? It also introduced record spheres for the following characters: Rosa, Palum, Porum, Tela, and Fusoya. It's nothing super exciting. It's just standard stuff. You got black magic, white magic buffing. Tela gets 5-star white magic. So yeah, nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, that's really. I mean, everybody pretty much gets their white magic and black magic buffs, but Tela can get 5-star white magic, so he can be a red mage too. So, not really a red mage because he's not attack, but he can be white and black magic. And if you care enough, if you don't have enough white mages in Final Fantasy IV to choose from, you can make Tela a white mage. Yeah. For some reason.
Which is kind of funny because if you look at the lore, he's actually supposed to have it, but yeah.
So yeah, you can Fusoya and Rosa and one of the twins and Cecil and yeah, that's a lot of white mages in one row.
Yep. So, there's also 2 new abilities. You've got Lightning Dive, which is a Dragoon lightning ability, kind of like, not Full Strike, but, what's it called? It's called Full Charge, but in terms of, jumping and lightning.
Lightning damage, yeah.
And then you've got the Titan Summon ability, which is, a bad, or I should say strong, hurt shaking summoning ability. So yeah, deal 2 magic, summon hurt attack to all enemies. So yeah,
I didn't even think that it was, it's a 5-star summoning. I don't know. Now it's earth element, right? So that's helpful against earth elements. But in terms of damage output, what's his name? Titan?
Yeah, Titan. It's the guy that Rydia calls at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, where
I for some reason forgot she knew existed.
Oh, here we go. So Titan does 14.8% damage, as opposed to Bahamut, which does 15% non-elemental. So, cool. Yeah, so very similar, plus the earth element. So, enemies that are weak against earth will have that bonus. You're also going to get 5-star Tiamat and 5-star ultimate weapon at some point in the future. Tiamat does wind and ultimate weapon does dark. And then, of course, you have Neo Bahamut and the other 6-star summon, which we'll get in a nightmare, that does fire, ice, and lightning damage. So that does 3. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, if you are big on summoners and spending 5-star orbs, there you go. The Dragoon power is awesome, obviously. Looking at this is Lightning Dive. It does 4 single ranged attacks at 1.13 times with a 5 or a 3.5 second jump, as opposed to Dragoon Jump, which does 2 single attacks at 2.35 each and the same air time. So Dragoon Jump is actually doing a little bit more damage just normally, but if you work with the lightning, if you're finding somebody who's weak to lightning, or you have Imperil Lightning, or you have Attach Lightning, Empower Lightning, that's going to do a lot more damage, and it has 4 attacks, so it can even do much more. And of course, we have plenty of ways to remove airtime, so this is a really cool ability that's certainly worth investing in if you like Dragoons.
It mixes well with Blood of the Wyvern, the Dragoon ability that cuts jumping delay for 2 turns. Yep. Then there's Kane soul breaks that he's got, a few of them that does that. So it's definitely a very usable ability. And what would you know? A lot of the ultimate battles have lightning vulnerable bosses.
Go figure, right?
Yeah, they attack you with lightning, and they're vulnerable to lightning. It's a very lightning-oriented ultimate thing going on here.
Yeah, and when we talk about the banners, which I didn't include in the outline, but after we'll talk about the battles first, his BSB is all lightning. We're starting to get, as opposed to one thing does lightning, one thing does earth, it's all lightning. Both attacks are lightning, so lots of lightning stuff. All right, let's move to the ultimate battles. The first ultimate battle is Life Eternal, and that is the Dark Dragon, who has high defense. So a magical team would be more ideal than a physical team, but it really doesn't matter because he's weak to fire and holy. So if you have physical characters with fire and holy attacks, they're going to be just fine. And just make sure that you bring holy and fire damage to meet the conditions.
And truth be told, even though at the beginning of the battle, if you bring like Piso, he's going to say, oh my god, I wish I could lift my sword, and so on and so forth. It's just a whole bunch of rubbish because he can hit just fine.
Yep.
It's absolutely nothing like in the game.
It's not like he can't attack. Right?
No, he's absolutely not. So don't join that fight without any equipment on your characters. You did that in Final Fantasy IV. Do not do it in Record Keeper. That's a very bad strategy. You are too intense.
You can cheese this by bringing Paladin Cecil or Edward's BSB, as they both do holy damage and have holy attack commands. I think Paladin Force is a better option there. Of course, you can go to a Fire BSB if someone has the equipment synergized. Obviously, you have somebody with Paladin Cecil or Edward, they're more likely to be synergized than someone from another realm who has a Fire BSB like Terra. So not too difficult.
No, pretty.
That brings us to Keeper of the Dagger, a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, that one gave me the runaround. It took me, I don't know, maybe 15, 12 attempts maybe to get right. So,
all right.
Yeah, definitely annoying.
So we will hear for a second how you finally beat it, but let me just go over the basic strategy here.
Yep.
So you fight a Flan Master, some Moose, and some Flans. So with 5 opponents, there's a lot of incoming damage, and you do have to kill them all. You just can't kill the Flan Master and hope the rest of them die. You have to actually kill all of the enemies in this ultimate battle. If you're not going for a Sid mission, you can spam your area of effect attacks and probably kill them pretty easily. A Sid mission needs to be a little bit more creative. Thankfully, Flan Master is weak to lightning, and Kane just got a new 5-star ability that we talked about that does lightning attacks. So even, surprise! Even at rank 2, this was doing a lot of damage, and that's without his BSB. So just with the Blood of the Wervine and the 2 attacks you get from the initial free 5-star ability that you already got, that is doing a lot of damage. There's also a lot of black mages in Final Fantasy IV, and Rydia is a summoner, and there are lightning summon abilities as well. So you can go about this fight several different ways, and I saw people go about this fight several different ways. You can Roaming Warrior, Kane's new BSB, and spam Triumphant Lancet. That is his burst ability, which gives you back ability uses. And so you can spam Triumphant Lancet and Lightning Dive, even if you only have Lightning Dive at R2. And that is a potential way to go through this fight. For me, I brought Paladin Cecil with his BSB, Kane with his Super Soul Break, Dark Cecil with Boost, Edward with Haste, and Rosa with a Medica, and Sentinel Grimoire as my Roaming Warrior. So this was not too challenging for me, but I have almost the perfect Sid team. So how did you do it, Pierre? Because you don't have the perfect Sid team, I don't think, for this. So
Let's
What was your
see.
strategy?
I went in with Paloom, Redia, with who cares what they had. Kane with Blood of the Wyvern and the Lightning Dive. Edward with Full Break for the criteria, the target criteria. And Rosa with Cure, Shelga, and Hermitica. And when I said it doesn't really matter what Palom and Redia had, that's because I had taken for Roaming Warrior Hash with Dusk Decree that kind of deals a whole lot of
Yes.
lightning damage, and then the burst abilities were pretty lightningy too. The only thing that I had difficulty with was getting the enemies down, in time before their AOE lightning would eventually get through my characters. But I tried doing this with Edward before I went with Kane. I tried to do it with Edward and Lightning Scroll because I do have Edward's Lightning Super Soul Break. But yeah, that didn't work too well. So I was able to do it again with that Roaming Warrior, and I do have Edward's Super Soul Break that gave me haste. So yep, that worked that way.
Very cool.
Yeah, yep.
A lot of other options out there for sure. And you can be creative with that as well. So now to the ultimate plus, everyone's favorite demon doll. And I'm not talking about Chucky, I'm talking about Kelkas and Brinas and Kel Cabrina, the 6 dolls that turn into one big giant doll. Now, unlike previous times we have fought this, if you don't defeat the 6 dolls under 30 seconds, they combine. So it's not if you kill some of them or you don't kill all of them. It's literally you have 30 seconds to defeat the 6. If you don't defeat them, they combine. All right? So what's the strategy? AoE. Spam as much AoE as you can. Whatever you have. You got Super Soul Breaks, you got 5-star abilities, you got 6-star abilities. Whatever you have, the best AoE, the best equipment, the best Soul Breaks. Don't even worry about defense or anything else. Just try to take them down as fast as possible. You have 30 seconds. That is a decent amount of time to do it. So you can use magic. I actually used physical attacks for my team. I brought Aegis Strike, which is a 6-star knight ability. Demon's Blood, a 6-star samurai ability. Tornado Strike, the 5-star spellblade ability. I have those at R1 only. Bahamut, the 5-star summon, I have that at R2 or R3. Multi-break, bio grenade, and I used Paladin Force on the first turn. It took me 3 turns, less than 3 turns actually. Paladin Cecil just got to do Paladin Force and 1 Aegis Strike, and then I won. So AoE. I think that's just do it as fast as possible. Don't worry about buffing everybody. Don't worry about breaking everybody. I mean, you can bring multi-break, you can bring Sentinel Grimoire if you have it, things like that. But just try to take them out as fast as possible. And that worked for me. Did you take this one on?
Yeah, I got. I tried to take it on. I got maybe 1 of 2 dolls down, and then they wiped the floor with my sorry bottom. But I will take it down though. So that's for sure.
Yeah, just find that AoE damage. I did bring Shout as my roaming warrior, so everybody was buffed up accordingly like that. So I should say I was running a Hastaga and a Boostka, so there you go. All right, banners, huh?
Yeah, banners. So let's see what we have in store. The first banner was featuring Kane's Burst Soulbreak, Dragoon Pride, and the item is called the Abel's Lance, so it deals 4 jump, lightning, and non-elemental attacks to all targets, and so on and so forth. Infuse the user with the power of lightning. And the burst abilities are Stormblood Dragoon, which deals 2 ranged physical lightning attack to one target, and remove the delay from the user's jump attack for 2 turns. And Triumphant Lancet, which deals 2 ranged physical lightning attacks to one target, and restore 1 ability use to the ability with the fewest remaining uses. Now, it's one thing that does bugs me with this is when you go with burst abilities, usually you'll try and get the max out of them before they go away. So if you use Stormblood Dragoon, chances are for the next 2 turns you're going to be using these abilities as well. So it kind of...
No, this is an excellent BSB. I believe even in Japan, this is one that's still used. It's not intended just to use by itself. It is intended to use in tandem with Dragoon Jump, with Lightning Dive. Really specifically, it's meant to be used with Lightning Dive. So this does rely on your other abilities. Just like Paladin Cecil. I mean, I never use Paladin Cecil's burst commands, right? Paladin Cecil uses Saint's Cross. That's a much better use of his, power than just using his burst commands. This is one of the nice BSB, the meta BSBs that attach an element, right? So it's a boost element weapon. So if you have the weapon, it boosts lightning. Then if you use the BSB, it attaches lightning. And then the BSB does lightning. And then you're supposed to use a lightning ability. And obviously you combine that with somebody who has an Imperil lightning. And then eventually you use the lightning overdrive, right? So, I mean, obviously that's the end game. I don't know, is Kane's OSB lightning? I can find that out here in a second if you want to talk about the other new thing on the banner, which is Rydia's.
I would be more than happy to, but
I think it's new, maybe not.
No, it's definitely, I think, new.
I'll look up his OSB here.
Yeah, okay, so Rydia's weapon is called Sleep Near Tail. It will you stop freaking changing. Sorry, the carousel was just moving around. So it gives Rydia the Mournful Cry Burst Soul Break, which deals 5 magic summoning hurt and non-elemental attacks to all target, grants Ace, Burst Mode, and infuse a user with the power of hurt. And her burst abilities are Gaia's Strike, which deals 4 magic summoning hurt and non-elemental attack to one target, and Gaia's Fury, which deals 2 magic summoning hurt and non-elemental attacks to all targets. So it's a very, very hurt-oriented burst soul break, definitely.
Yeah, everything else is, I believe, is old, right?
Yeah, I don't think
I just looked up Kane. So Kane does not have an OSB at this point in the game. I would assume when he does have an OSB, it will be lightning. Then you can combo, just like, obviously what I want to do with Cecil is I have a sword and armor that is bonus to holy. I have a record materia that's, much more holy damage. I have a BSB that empowers holy. I can use holy abilities, but once I'm empowered with holy, what do? Then you activate the overdrive or the overbreak or whatever we call those things, OSBs. And Cecil's is holy. It's a holy damage OSB, so it's doing crazy damage. So that's the kind of combo with the Imperil then on somebody else that you're looking for kind of in the meta going forward. And then the next step is then the chain attacks, which they're just introducing, right? And we've talked about those in the last couple of weeks. So you see as the meta grows from attach elements to bonus to the element, to the elements now an overdrive, overstrike, and now the element's a chain. So you're going to want to try to do that. Get obviously as many of those as you can, but at least having one of those is going to put you in real good shape. That brings us to the second banner, right?
It's good though. You were mentioning chain soul breaks and stuff like that. It's good that they're bringing the game forward that way, because it's definitely a brand new mechanic that feels different, and it's a good introduction. I highly praise DNA for that, and I can't wait for it to.
It looks really cool. I watched the video you posted on FFRK Central or on YouTube too, right? So. Looks pretty cool.
All right, so the second banner.
Second banner's got a couple new things.
Yep. It brings
one new thing.
Edward's Lemmy's harp, which gives him the Whisperweed Ballad Burst Soul Break, which does lower the holy resistance of all target, temporarily raise the attack of all allies a large amount. And so it's basically shout plus lowers the holy resistance of all target, right?
It's Imperil Holy more than anything. Okay. So it does give the boost, and then it does Imperil Holy, which is the big thing, and then has some break abilities. So.
Yep, the
support abilities.
The burst abilities are Soothing Lullaby, which deal range physical holy attack damage to one target and temporarily lower its attack and magic a small amount and sap the user. And by sapping the user, it means Edward, right? Or whoever.
Edward will get sapped from using that. So
that's an odd choice.
Yeah, well, it is an odd choice. Remember that bards will eventually get a power that grants everyone regen.
Oh, so that's true.
But yeah, I mean, if you're taking this, yes, if you have a Sid team and this is the only BSB you have for Edward, then it's a fine support ability.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, the main reason this is so good is it's an Imperil Soul Break, and that's only good if you have a holy element team. So, but this is one of the Imperil Soul Breaks with Beatrix's. With General Leo is coming up, with Sid Reigns, right? There's a few Imperil Holies already. So
and everything else on that banner is not.
Did we get a Surarad?
No, I think you're right. I got confused by the Excalibur, but I do think that Surarad is new. And if it's not, just pretend here that it is. So Surarad, it gives Plum a Super Soul Break, which is Twin Cast Magic Barrage. It deals 8 Magic Holy and Fire and... What? Okay, wait. Deals 8 Magic Holy and Fire and Lightning attacks to all target and temporarily lower their magic and resistance a large amount.
It's also a boost holy weapon.
Yeah, now, quick question. How does that... Wait, Plum is the guy or the girl?
This is the boy?
Okay, it's the boy. So it basically, even though it does holy damage, it's still going to base its damage on your magic and not on your mind, right?
Yes, magic holy damage. Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. Just... it's the first time that I see an ability that does 3 different elements. So
plus magic resistance dual break.
Yep.
So this is a holy boosting weapon that does 3 elements plus a magic resistance dual break, which means this is a really, really good Super Soul Break.
And it gives a chance...
It's on a weird character, but it's a really, really good Super Soul Break.
Well, it gives a chance to a offensive magic character to actually do pretty decent holy damage, which usually that would be left for white mage users. So that's pretty good.
And right, on obviously on a team that's doing holy damage... now you have a mage that can do, and Sid Reigns is also a mage with Imperil Holy, so, there's that. So.
And any white mage can equip rods, so they could equip this and get small boost to holy damage, just by itself. So pretty decent, actually. So if I had to give a score to these 2 banners, I believe with the the Lamia's Arm, the Excalibur, and the Sure Rod, I would definitely give my vote to the second banner.
Yeah, I think the second banner overall is a little more powerful. Now, I think Abel's Lance is an amazing ability. There's a couple other in those that are, the Imperil Earth, if you need Imperil Earth. The Feathered Cap and the Tail, not bad. Also, the Seraphim Mace, not bad. It's a Curaga Medica. But then compared to the Lamia Harp and the Excalibur and Asura Rod and Artemis Bow and even Wyvern Lance, which is still very good, but obviously Kane's BSB is better. There's just, if you're looking for Final Fantasy IV synergy, that second banner is definitely a better banner. But there's several items that we just talked about that are definitely decent. I did a draw on this second banner because, hey, why not? And I'd also like the Lamia Harp, and there are a couple other things. I did not get that. What did I get? I got a Wyvern Lance, which I already have 3 of, so I have a reforged Wyvern Lance already. So that fourth Wyvern Lance is not doing anything.
That's sad.
Or Wyvern Lance, depending on your Old English. But I did get Artemis Bow, something I've pulled extensively for in the past. And so I now have a realm where I have 2 Curaga Medicas, because I have the other one. I have the Seraphim Mace. But I wanted to use Rosa a lot more than I wanted to use one of the twins, because I like Rosa a lot more. And so I'm happy that I did pull that out of that. So I was able to bring Rosa with her Super Soul Break Medica into that.
Good.
And I think that wraps up our Final Fantasy IV.
I think it does. I think we talked about everything. Now, as we do this, there's a new event that just started. It's called Sparing Night. It introduces the...
It's called Onion Night Hype. That's the name of the event. Onion Night Hype.
You could call it that because everybody's going absolutely bananas.
We will talk about it, I'm sure, extensively next week. But know that this is your chance to get your Onion Night. I got a place for my Onion Night. I'm going to tell you where it is next week. But where all my other Final Fantasy 3 characters are.
That's not good.
The dumpster behind 7-Eleven. Oh wait. No, Onion Knight's cool. His relics are cool. We'll talk about it, but I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm not gonna pull for like many of our friends are, and that's fine if you want to. That's great. People have been saving up for these banners to get the Onion Knight relics. God bless you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Moving on before you get more into kids, get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
One of the big highlights of the week has been the finally the introduction of the multiplayer beta for global, and obviously it's a beta, which means that while it costs absolutely no stamina to do anything, the rewards are kind of non-existent. You get some minor grilled eggs, or
coveted 1-star eggs.
Yep, or 100 gil. So even though you could potentially get a limitless amount of money, you'd have to be pretty twisted in the head to.
Yeah, I mean, this is really just an opportunity for us to play with multiplayer, to mess around with it. As they actually launch multiplayer, you're going to see kind of the format with the current stuff, the 14 stuff that's out right now. You're going to see the format that people in Japan have been talking about, where, the battles under 160 difficulty, you just bring in your normal team and you beat those battles by yourself. It's the 160, 180 difficulty 200 plus battles that you actually want to multiplayer, because you need 8 characters to beat those. So you don't have to multiplayer all of these different battles to get the rewards going forward. You just go into the best content and work on that. So I've been playing it. I think Pierre, you've been playing it.
Yep.
A lot of people on our group have been playing it. So, come on to our Slack chat. You can go to FFRK Central, find out about the Slack chat, join that. We have our own channel, hashtag global multiplayer, something like that.
No, it's actually it's hashtag FFRK_global_MP.
Yeah, well, you get into the room and we can tell you where to go.
Yeah, take the first door left, and yeah, so.
But yeah, a good place to organize, because it's not only that you can go into a room and just join a random party. You can create a party and just have people randomly join. But if you go and create a private room, you can give us a code, and then we can work together to set stuff up. That's especially important right now because there is some bugs, especially in the lobby when you're all working together.
Oh, that is so annoying.
I have a funny story about that here in a little bit, but
no, go ahead.
No, yeah, okay, I'll share it now. So we were multiplayer. I think it was me and Derek and the Nation and Threats 5. So the four of us were in, and we were going to do a free 160, the highest difficulty. I had just done it just previously randomly with random folks and pretty much beaten it myself, and I had brought a van in Tyro. All right. So I get into the room, and Derek has van in Tyro. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to bring two. We don't need two vans and two Tyros, although probably should have retrospectively. So I go in from the lobby and try to change my characters. And so I bring in Kane, and I bring in Paladin Cecil. But it didn't show me bringing in Kane and Paladin Cecil. And so once we got into the battle itself, Kane and Paladin Cecil showed up, but they weren't equipped with anything.
Oops.
Because I didn't know it actually switched. So they weren't equipped with anything. And so I think, I don't remember who was bringing what. So Derek had Van and Tyro, so we had Sentinel Grimoire. I think the Nation had Ramza, Washout, and Ico. And I want to say Threats had Kane with his BSB, which is awesome, looks awesome, by the way. And maybe Arc, maybe another healer. So we get pretty close, like 20%, like 80% of his health down, 20%. I'm not doing any damage, so I have the two DPS characters. I'm not doing any damage. Everybody starts dying. Ico, the healer, the main healer gets killed. Arc gets killed. Ramza gets killed. It ends up being Arc and Furion. Yeah, because you had Furion's. The Nation is with us on Twitch, those listening at home. So he had Arc and Furion. So Furion has the... so Threats must have had Ramza and Kane. I think there was two Kanes. So Furion has his... I think he had his BSB because it looks cool. I'd never seen it before with all his weapons and stuff. So anyway, we all end up dying, long story short, except for Van. So Derek has Van all by himself. The boss has like 20% of his health left. And at the very end of the phase, of course, Ifrit's speed is up. He's doing all kinds of damage. Derek single-handedly killed Ifrit with Van. All the rest of us are completely dead. Derek does 3 arc blasts in a row because he was taking so much damage. And ends up killing. So it was just hilarious how it worked. It was pretty cool that he was able to pull it out after we all died. So that was fun. That was my moment of the week on Slack. And it's fun. I mean, people have been playing around with it, and it's fun to fail. It's fun to win. It's fun to plan and get good teams together. It's fun to go on and play with people who have no idea what they're doing and carry them and do all that kind of stuff. Well, you can with 160 difficulty. Once it gets over 200, you need to do a lot more planning. You can't go in willy-nilly. But so I encourage everybody, just go have fun with it. It's a little glitchy, but they don't have a lot of the problems that we're having in Japan. So I think we have hope that they're going to fix it and I believe Derek was Van was level 99, as my Van is level 99 as well, and I know how powerful he is. So
did you have any of those disconnection issues that a lot of people have been complaining about?
I have not run into. I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning that he was having issues with connection, but I have not experienced that yet.
Yeah, basically, any player that's using a proxy or a firewall that will filter certain kind of traffic are going to have issues, because when you play this, it doesn't go out through the normal port 80 or port 443 that the normal internet web browsing traffic goes. So obviously, if you're not using a normal cellular connection, you might have a couple of issues. I know that Derek has a couple of good recommendations on FFRKcentral.com, one of them being making sure that you've got the
yes.
Let me go over it real quick. He says, if I can give you one good piece of advice, it would be this: if you're playing multiplayer on your phone, activate do not disturb mode before you start, especially if you are hosting. There's nothing more frustrating than getting 10 minutes into a 200 plus difficulty battle and being disconnected by a phone call. Although do not disturb will usually not help you for that, but anyway, especially if it's the party leader who disconnect the entire group. So basically the way it works is that everything you're doing, the three non-leaders, is sent to the leader's phone, and it's that phone that handles all the fight and communicate with Dina's server. So that is why when you're the leader, all the three other player can just drop, and you'll get to play their characters because all of the data is in your phone. But if the leader drops, then there's absolutely no link between you and Dina's server anymore. So that's just a little bit of back end if anybody cared.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know.
So that is how it works.
Derek did write an excellent blog post on FFRK Central about multiplayer, and Derek has been playing multiplayer in Japan for a while now, with several of the guys on and gals on Slack. So we do have a multiplayer for Japan version of the game as well, a channel on Slack chat. So they are well experienced with multiplayer and do a lot of it. So encourage you to check out that article that Derek wrote. I
will link it in the show notes in case you are not live with us on the Twitch right now. And yep, so I like the nation saying Derek's OP. He's definitely super strong, that's for sure. Okay, let's move on to the discussion part of the podcast, as if that's what not what we have been doing the whole time.
As opposed to the rest of the podcast, which is purely factual.
Absolutely.
Data analysis.
Yeah, no opinion, nothing. So that was something I came up with this week when I realized that I didn't completely hate Kane anymore. The question was, are there characters that you didn't like before Record Keeper that you like now, or characters that you absolutely love that you actually don't like anymore? And I think, Mark, your answer was any Final Fantasy III character, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't really like Final Fantasy III before I started playing Record Keeper.
Yeah, and according to your 7-Eleven joke, that didn't change too much.
I don't care. I don't care about Final Fantasy 2 or 3 very much at all. So, yeah. But yeah, so now you're okay with Kane, right?
I'm actually okay with Kane. He saved my sorry butt a few times, and actually I didn't like any jumpers. I still completely hate Kimari. That didn't change. Well, that won't ever change.
That shouldn't change. Yeah. No.
But yeah, Kane's an okay guy right now. He's got a spot in my party almost any time where I could use a jumper.
I love Kane. I've always liked Kane, though. Final Fantasy IV is definitely one of my favorite of the series. I'll tell you who I can tolerate a lot more than I could in the actual game was Van, because he has a crazy VSB that's super powerful, and I use him all the time because he's super powerful.
You still tweet "Damn it, Van" every now and then.
Yeah, because every once in a while the stupid guy dies. He's level 99. He's still dying. for no reason. He just dies. I don't know. But
so on Twitch, we've got people mentioning Fran, Ark, Bash. I actually didn't care too much about anything related to Final Fantasy 12, but I got a good. It's always the soul breaks and super soul breaks that you get that ends up forcing your hand into using certain characters, because you're going to ignore them because you've got an issue with them when they've got like that super strong ability that could save the day for you. So you'd be kind of silly to.
Yeah, that's true for me in black mages, because I love black mages. I use, when I'm playing Final Fantasy Record Keeper, I use the black mages I have the best equipment for, as opposed to my favorite black. Although I still use my favorite black mages because I have equipment for them. But there are black mages that I don't use that I might like to if I had that equipment.
Like, who would you, if you could get all the equipment, who would you be using?
Well, Lulu and Vivi are two of my favorites by far. I use Renoa. She's probably my favorite, probably my favorite character in the game, in general. And then Terra, of course, Terra and Renoa.
I wish I could use Lulu a whole lot more of Terra.
Yeah, I have her Super Soul Break.
Yeah, I don't have. See, that's the part where I kind of find it sad. All the characters I really, really like, I don't have any like super soul break equipment on them, so they just, I leveled them to 80 out of emotion, and they're just standing there doing absolutely butt kiss because, it doesn't make any sense to use them. So, but still, credits to DNA because they did not introduce a buy this freaking item right now for X amount of money feature, so. Because I'd be pretty poor right now. Mark, did I lose you?
Yes, no, I'm right here.
All right.
Yep. I got a couple draws of the week. It's something we encourage you to do if you get a good draw or a bad draw. We're going to get hopefully a lot of Black Friday draws and, of course, Onion Night draws for next week. So I encourage you, if you're listening to this, go on Twitter. If you want a hashtag draw of the week, share it with me. Hashtag FFRK Central, or share at FFRK Central. Hashtag draw of the week. We'll mention you on the show, or you can go to Slack chat to our Crystal Chronicles channel and share your best or worst draws. I got a couple from the tweeter here. Poor Trinity, one of our faithful few, did 3 100 gem draws from the Nightmare dungeons in both of the Final Fantasy IV dungeon, and the best thing she did get a Final Fantasy IV Defender, which is a 3-star sword, and then a Final Fantasy VI Moon Ring, which is the thrown weapon. So, sorry, Trin, you did not come away with gold there. Super Sensei says, after spending 100 mithril on the Final Fantasy IV event, I pulled Porum's hat in one pull and 2 of her staff in a second pull. So that's a pretty good pull. And then let me butcher this. JCFEIN Nino, or JCFEI Nino, one of our Japanese players,
who actually lives in France.
Pulled Fusoya's Super Soul Break, and so was not particularly excited about that. So those are our draws of the week.
Actually,
make sure that you. Go ahead.
I'm gonna plug right now our good Threats 5 buddy from Slack chat, who posted on Twitter, I think DNA wants me to level someone, and the screenshot that's attached with it is a 11 item Relic Draw, and the 2 first items are the Onion Gauntlet and the Onion Sword. So,
oh wow,
yep,
that's a great pull.
So he's definitely gonna take the Onion Knight out of your garbage can, and I think level him up all the way.
Yeah, no doubt.
So yeah, I think these were the draws. So let's move on to the news from the future segment, which is courtesy of our good friend Australian Derek. Give me just a second while I get that email real quick. Okay. All right. So, hope you had. What kind of sentence is that? Hope you've had a banger of a week. Okay. Hope you have a banger of a week with the multiplayer.
It's an Australian thing. Or an English thing. I don't know. One of those.
Okay. With the multiplayer beta and the quote-unquote easy Final Fantasy IV Ultimates, the Slack chat FFRK GP team have been having a lot of fun with the content from last week and this week, so let's get to it. Chapnik Week in Review. Launch of the Final Fantasy Tactic event, The Sibling Who Inherited the Secret Art. Introduction of Rayfa, Black 5, Witch 5, White 4, Dancer 4, Ninja 4. Introduction of Malak, Black 5, Darkness 5, Ninja 4, Combat 3. New USB for Remza, new BSBs for Refa, Malak, Ovelia, and Mustadio. Orlando gets a new Super Soul Break that arguably make him even more OP if you can pair it with his...
Is that even possible?
I don't know. Seems to be quite a thing going on around him. Orlando Bloom. New Mechanist 5 ability, Tempest Snipe, a 6 single target range physical lightning damage. Seems quite strong. New Knight 5 ability, Guard Bringer. 2 or 3 or 4 single target physical holy hits depending on how much defense you have. I have been gushing about this ability on Slack all week. Mops the floor with Saint Cross. Yeah, it has to be. Lucky Banner release. Team this time is a Soul Break that includes buff to self or party. Super Soul Break or better. So 1 half price, 11 item pull. Return of the Geisol Exchange Accessory Extravaganza announced. Looking to be up November 26. Focus on elemental, status resistance accessories. Expect around 31 accessories to choose from, so save some greens if you have any gaps to plugs. If you haven't done it already a first time, clear mastery of the green daily dungeons will give you plenty to spend. Increase to multiplayer rewards. There have been significant increases to the multiplayer rewards with the release of the Final Fantasy Tactic multiplayer battles over the last week. Notably, the 1160 plus difficulty battles now appear to be rewarding a combined 100 plus 4-star modes between the two sets of first-time mastery rewards. Woo! That's insane.
100 4-star modes?
Yeah, no, 100 plus 4-star modes.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Do you tune in next week to see what exciting things are in store with the release of the Final Fantasy XII event. We're also got the possibility of 2 events in the same week over the next 2 weeks with the expected bonus end of month event release. So there you have it. That's the news from the future from Australian Derek.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you so much, Derek. And that brings us to the Mobius Minute. And you said something about there was
drama, travesty, gnashing and grinding of teeth, pitchforks, torches.
Wow.
Let's kill the beast. That kind of stuff happening at Mobius this week. So we were having a wonderful little event where we were collaboratively climbing a mountain and breaking some seals, and we did that, and we got the seals. And then after the seals were broken, we ran around collecting different flavors of Fanta. And so most of us have been having fun collecting different flavors of Fanta, even white Fanta, which is apparently milk flavored. Very disgusting. Anyway, the drama, I'll let you put in the holes of what I'm talking about there. The drama, the Final Fantasy 10 cards have been released, including our first legendary job. The legendary jobs are the best of the jobs. Yes, all kinds of different flavors of Fanta. Twitch chat, all kinds of different purple Fanta, red Fanta, green Fanta, yellow Fanta, white Fanta, and blue Fanta. Yep, have to collect all the Fanta, 10 of each varieties to make sure that you get your 20,000 skill seeds at the end of the event. So, back to Final Fantasy X. So we get our first legendary job, which is the higher tier of jobs, even though this is just Titus, and he's low rated among the legendary cards, and some Final Fantasy cards. Final Fantasy X cards, the Gull Wings. So you get Riku and Yuna and Pain, and then a combined Riku, Yuna, and Pain card available to you. Here's the drama. In Japan, the legendary cards, of which there are many now, and they're mostly characters from Final Fantasy, so you can reskin your main character, Wool, or Warrior of Light. You can reskin him as Titus, you can reskin him as Squall, you can reskin him as Cain, as Lightning, and they have the different jobs and different powers, just like the normal game. In Japan, those cards, those job cards, which you have to draw from a kind of a resource which you get kind of ongoing, like Mithril, you got to draw them, and you got to draw for a chance. Now, the nice thing about drawing for job cards is you can only pull every job card once. So once you've collected all of the job cards, then the next time you draw for a new job card, you're going to get that new job card. So people have been saving their summoning tickets, which you need to pull job cards, in anticipation for this legendary, so that they would have all of the jobs unlocked. So the first time they pull for the legendary job, they would get the job. So guess what happens? Any idea?
They changed the system?
The way that you get the legendary card Titus or Seeker is by buying 12,000 Magicite, which comes to be around $75 United States dollars.
Oh, that's crap.
So you have to buy 12,000 Magicite, and then you automatically get the card. So people are losing their minds over this change. Because they're basically asking $75 for one card. Yes, you get the 12,000 Magicite, and you can use that for Mobius boxes and whatever else, but that's a lot of money for one card. Although, obviously, in Final Fantasy Record Keeper, people have spent a lot more chasing one relic, but especially when in Japan things were very different. So, it will be interesting to see what kind of effect that has on the game and what the company does in the aftermath, and of course people complaining and all of that kind of stuff. So we'll see. Maybe just a whole bunch of people spend $75 and they'll make a lot of money, and nobody will hear anything else, and the free-to-play players will cry, and nothing will change. Maybe everybody will say, no, I'm not going to do that, and they don't do anything. But there was really no reason to spend money before this in the game, so I think that was probably one of the issues.
Hey guys, we're not making any money at all with this.
You actually generate Magicite. You generate about 100 every 16 hours. So think about if you generated Mithril on a timer as opposed to logging in every day and playing events. So, Magicite was available, and you could use Magicite to buy your Mobius box, which is kind of your subscription thing, and you get about enough to do that, and that gives you a whole bunch of good stuff. So there was really no reason to spend money on the game. So this is really the reason to spend the money. So we'll see what it does, but I would not be spending $75 for Titus, just in case you're wondering. There are much, much better legendary cards if you want to spend actual money. To get one of the legendary cards, wait for one of the best cards. Titus is not among them. Hope, Snow, Lightning, and who else are the top rated? There's one more thief, Zidane. Those are the 4 top rated cards. So if you want to be the best, those are the 4 top rated cards. And then a whole bunch of others like Squall and Cain are just below that. So, yeah. And I shared that on our Slack, Mobius FF. Hashtag MobiusFF on Slack chat if you want to join the the moaning and belittling the company for doing that. So there you go.
All right, and finally, before we wrap this up, let's tell you something that every single Final Fantasy fan already knows. Final Fantasy 15 is getting released next Tuesday, right?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
This Tuesday. It's coming.
Yeah, well, Tuesday was yesterday, so it's next Tuesday. So
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be for PS4, Xbox One, both consoles which I do not own, so I should be safe.
I will be watching Dan's SG maybe playing, or somebody else playing it online. So go and stream it for us so we can watch, those of us who don't have those things or time to actually play video games.
Oh, so it would be just awful for me if I got a PS4. So
yeah,
it's definitely not a good thing for me to do that. Not enough time. But I guess that's it for us. So hopefully that was a good episode number 40, and we'll definitely be back next week
with Onion Night hype.
Onion Night. Yep. I'm sure you're gonna pull, and you're gonna get a whole bunch of Onion Night stuff.
I'm just gonna drop a whole bunch of coin. I'm gonna be pulling on Onion Night like it ain't no thing. Woohoo! Onion Night hype.
All right. So basically, if you have any comment, feedback, question, you can email those to ffrkcentral@gmail.com. My name is Pierre. I can be reached out on Twitter at FFRKCentral or at Pierre on the FFRK Slack chat, which, by the way, is free to join. You can, for more information, you can go to ffrkcentral.com/FFRKchat for more information on that. To reach out to or today absent colleague Ben, you can reach out to him at etanks88 on Twitter. And to get in touch with Mark,
you can reach me at RevHP on the tweeters, and try to retweet things and share victories and stuff. And at we use in Slack at RevHP on Slack chat. So feel free to message me if you're having trouble with any battles, and then I'm usually around on the channels. Watching or inputting when I can.
So there we go. If you are listening to this podcast on your mobile device and you enjoy it and you've got some seconds to spare, we always appreciate it when people take the time to leave us a little 5-star review on iTunes or the other systems. It's always super appreciated. But other than that, we'll be back next Wednesday with more Final Fantasy Record Keeper news for you. So that was episode 40, recorded on November 23rd. And with that said, we'll say thank you. Have a great week. Keep saving those mitrals, like Derek would say. And see you in 1 week. Thank you so much. Have a good one.